Hello? Okay. Hopefully we're back. I'm not sure what the issues are, but we're back. We're using just the Zoom audio through a laptop, through our iPad here. And we've turned off the internal audio system. So I apologize. Thank you very much for your patience. It has been a series of challenging internet issues, but hopefully hopefully this resolves the problem. What I'd like to do is begin with a letter that was written by Shinran. This is something that I quote often in our funeral services, and it comes from the second letter in a collection of letters entitled the Matosho. And in this, Shinran writes, through the fulfillment of the 18th primal vow, Bodhisattva Dhammakara has become Amida Tathagata, and a benefit that surpasses conceptual understanding has come to transcend all bounds. To express this, Bodhisattva Vasubandhu uses the words, the Tathagata of unhindered light, filling the 10 quarters. Truly know, therefore, that without any differentiation between good and bad people, and regardless of one's having a heart of blind passion, all beings are certain to attain birth. Through this passage from this letter, which is repeated, the idea which is repeated throughout Shinran's writings, we can understand that as we are, it doesn't matter what we may or may not have accomplished or done in our lives, that we are, as we are, assured of the resolution of difficulties. For some of us, this may be important. For others of us, not so much. When we are most, I think, concerned about this is either when someone who we care for deeply is about to die, but perhaps most importantly, when we think about our own finiteness, our own impermanence, our own death. And we might wonder at times what will happen to us when we die. And in this letter, Shinran writes very clearly that it doesn't matter. Good or bad, right or wrong is not something that is calculated in the assurance of Amida Buddha. Just as we are affirmed and assured just as we are. It's hard to kind of accept this. We think about the things that we have to do in our lives in order to get by, in order to do the kinds of things that will continue our continuation. That we have to go to work in order to earn a living, in order to feed ourselves and our families. We need to do things in order to keep that job, continue to work, continue to be able to meet the responsibilities of our lives. The assurance of Amida Buddha doesn't change that. It doesn't make it possible for us to fulfill the responsibilities of our lives without doing anything. What it does do, what that assurance does do, it allows us to, once in a while, take a breath and to think about what our lives have been and what we are doing with our lives. One of the things that this pandemic has done is a lot of people are rethinking that, rethinking that of themselves. What am I going to do moving forward? Am I going back to the same life that I've lived before pandemic? Am I going to start doing the same things again? Or will I allow myself to do some things that I had not thought about doing? Maybe changing jobs. It seems to be a very widespread kind of way of coming back doing some other work, something that maybe we think might be more fulfilling. Taking stock, rethinking how we live our lives. And the assurance of Amida Buddha allows us to do that, allows us to look more carefully, not to escape responsibility, certainly, but to look at what we are doing with our lives. And it all allows us also to look beyond our own concerns, to look beyond what is important to me and what I have to do and what my responsibilities are, and all of those kinds of questions that we have about our worth and our dignity, and whether we're fulfilling our responsibilities or not. Assurance of Amida Buddha allows us to quiet those questions, allows us to look more openly at ourselves. That assurance of Amida Buddha, we read in the Jusege this morning. There is a line in the Jusege which reads, Isshu Kai Hoso, and I pointed out this many times over the years. But that Isshu Kai Hoso is on this gaku, written on this gaku about our own Naijin. It's a Kai Hoso. Kai Hoso. In the Jusege, if you read the Jusege, you read these words. The line begins Isshu, and then Kai Hoso. Isshu means all beings. Kai Hoso is to open up the Dharma storehouse. So the line is to open up the Dharma storehouse for the sake of all beings. Buddhism is not about good people, bad people. Good people are rewarded. Bad people have to change themselves in order to benefit. Assurance of Amida Buddha is without qualifications, without requirements, benefits all beings. In a way, it's because we are incapable of resolving those difficulties for ourselves. And those that have the skills and abilities, then they too will also, if not benefit directly from the assurance of Amida Buddha, will certainly be able to resolve those difficulties because they have the ability and skills to do that. All beings are contained within. If one is assured, as we are, of the resolution of difficulties, then I don't have to do anything. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to wake up in the morning. I can get up when I feel like it, go to bed when I feel like it. I don't have to do anything. I'm already assured. And that's true. It doesn't matter what you do. But if we understand what this assurance means in our lives, then our feeling is not so much of taking advantage of that assurance, but rather a feeling of gratitude when we think about how we live our lives. That in the midst of all of this uncertainty, whether we are capable or incapable, whether I want to do something or not want to do something, all of that does not matter in relationship to the assurance of Amida Buddha. In our everyday lives, we still have to go out, get up in the morning, go out, well, get ready for the day and then go out and go to work, go shopping, do all it. Well, nowadays you don't have to actually go into a store to go shopping. You can order everything online, vegetables, proteins, whatever you want. You can just kind of click and point and click, and things will be delivered to your home. How remarkable! Where before we had to get in our car and drive someplace and go through all the crowds and try shopping carts. Now you can just go through a list of things and choose what you want, and it gets delivered to your house. But the thing that for some reason, there are expectations that when they deliver to your house, they want to get paid for what they deliver and for the service of delivering to your house. It's easy to push the buttons and order things and have them delivered to you, but you still have to have something to receive that. You have to have something in exchange. And in most cases, that's, it's what we earn through the living that we make. No matter what we do in our lives, however we find our way, negotiate our way through our lives, the assurance of Amida Buddha is always there. There's the second chapter of the Tanisho. And the Tanisho, I really enjoy the Tanisho. I like it's a bestseller in Japan. It has been for many years. It was written not by Shinran, but by his student, most likely Yu Embo, who recalls the words of Shinran. And he does quote Shinran often. And the first part of this Tanisho are Yu Embo's recollection of the words of Shinran. And in this second chapter of the Tanisho, Yuan writes what Shinran has said. And the second chapter reads, each of you, so this is Shinran, Yu Embo recalling the words of Shinran. So this is Shinran speaking. Each of you has come to see me, crossing the borders of more than 10 provinces at the risk of your life, solely with the intent of asking about the path to birth in the land of bliss. But if you imagine in me some special knowledge of a path to birth other than the Nembutsu, or of scriptural writings that teach it, you are greatly mistaken. If that is the case, since there are many eminent scholars in the southern capital of Nara, on Mount Hiei to the north, you would do better to meet with them and inquire fully about the essentials for birth. As for me, I simply accept and entrust myself to what my revered teacher told me. Just say the Nembutsu and be saved by Amida. Nothing else is involved. I have no idea whether the Nembutsu is truly the seed for my being born in the Pure Land, or whether it is the karmic act for which I must fall into hell. Should I have been deceived by my master Honen and saying the Nembutsu, fall into hell, even then I would have no regrets. The reason is, if I could attain Buddhahood by endeavoring in other practices, but said the Nembutsu and fell into hell, then I would feel regret at having been deceived. But I am incapable of any other practice. So hell is decidedly my abode, whatever I do. If Amida's primal vow is true, Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching cannot be false. If the Buddha's teaching is true, Shantao's commentaries cannot be false. If Shantao's commentaries are true, then can Honen's words be lies? If Honen's words are true, then surely what I say cannot be empty. Such, in the end, is how this foolish person entrusts himself to the vow. Beyond this, whether you take up and accept the Nembutsu or whether you abandon it, for each of you to determine, is for each of you to determine. Thus were his words. As we think about our lives and when we come to the temple, as it were, participating in services, in classes, and all of the things that make up our life here at the temple. For us in Jodo Shinshu, at the heart of what we do is an appreciation of the Nembutsu that assures me of the resolution of difficulties. There are other benefits to coming to the temple, of meeting friends, of being together, of sharing stories, of thinking about friends of us who have died and who we are able to remember and enjoy those memories and experiences together as family and friends. There are things that we are engaged in within our community that improves the lives of our general community. We're not simply here as a building in Japantown, but we are engaged in our community. We have opinions of what we might do to improve the lives around us and our own lives. We contribute to our community. There's so many things that we are involved in, but those are as important as those are. The activities that we conduct are here at the temple. At the heart is this very simple idea that Amida Buddha assures us of the resolution of difficulties. And as I reflect upon that, as I think about that, the importance of that assurance in light of my own life, what I have accomplished, I realize how that vow is, that assures me of the eventual resolution of difficulties. This is the heart of our temple. And in a way, it does not need to be said, but we should have that in our hearts and minds. And from that base, from that life, engage ourselves in the world around us. The Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, is simply an expression of gratitude and appreciation for the assurance of Amida Buddha that provides for the enlightenment of all beings. Today, as we look around us, it's the 1st of August. We're kind of looking back at maybe going back into isolation, having to calls again that may kind of prohibit us from interacting as we would like to. But even in the midst of our isolation, the assurance of Amida Buddha is still there. Whether we acknowledge what is taking place around us in our cultural or political or economic world, the assurance of Amida Buddha is still there for me. the assurance of Amida Buddha provides me with a way of seeing the world, of seeing myself in the context of a community, of a culture, of a world in which there is such great uncertainty, but yet we are able to live our lives. Regardless of what happens over the next month or few months, regardless of what happens in the years to come, the assurance of Amida Buddha will remain at the heart of this temple, at the heart of the teachings of the Buddha, at the heart of the teachings of Joshinshu. Again, thank you very much. I apologize for this morning's technical difficulties. I think you're probably hearing an echo in this, and so we can always delete or not come back to this message again. You won't need to return to this message again. But again, thank you very much for your continued patience as we work our way together through this challenging times. You know, one of the things that we did, or we started doing before the pandemic, was to have our ministers and ministers' assistants begin leading sutra chanting from the Gejing, facing the Onaiji. And the idea of that was to remind ourselves, all of us, ministers included, that we travel together along this path of the Nembutsu. The feeling of Ondobo, Ondogyo. Together, we follow the teachings of the Buddha and travel together along this path. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for again your patience and your kind attention. As we conclude, will you please join in Gassho and Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much, everyone. We will continue with these Sunday morning 10 o'clock services through the summer, so at least through August. So please come and join us for these services. Next week, Mikame Sensei will be our speaker for the 10 o'clock morning service. So again, please join us for that. Thank you very much. Please be safe. Get vaccinated. Pay attention to the protocols that are being put in place, that are being updated regularly, and hopefully we will all be able to get through this together. Thank you very much.